tried to light your arm hair on fire.
It'd be all right. Hey, everybody. What's up? This is Jack. I'm sitting here with Spy.
Hey.
So we sit down with the intention of talking about the upcoming games for the last quarter of 2021 and maybe what's coming out in early 2022.
Can't believe it's that year already.
I know, it's a little weird.
Still feels like it's 2018, honestly.
I'm down for like forgetting last year. I'm good with that.
A little bit, yeah.
Anyway, coming up, there's a lot of titles that are releasing towards, I guess, the last few months of this year. It's a massive list, really.
Yeah,
especially if you put it all together from each month.
So actually, real quick, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this for a second, and then we'll get into the whole thing. I just want to let anyone know a little bit of a news part here. If anyone's interested in the old THQ games, SpongeBob Dehydrated, which I know a lot of people who are younger played as a kid. Destroy All Humans is also the re-release of that. They're both $10 now. And Darksiders as well is on sale on Steam, up to 90% off. And those are some really, really mostly older games. And they're all really, really fun. Wreckfest and, all the other ones. Anyway, I was just going to say, if you're looking for a Steam sale to pick up some old games, definitely right now is a good time because THQ had some really, really good games back then. But yeah, so a lot of new games are coming out during holiday season, as they always do. We got Halo Infinite coming out. We have Forza Horizon 5 coming out.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm really excited for.
Mm-hmm.
We also have we have the Life is Strange is coming out with a new thing for it. I know you didn't play that, but I played the original one.
Yeah.
Let me look over here. Popular upcoming over on Steam as well. Crysis Remastered. I don't know if you remember Crysis. Let's see. Oh, Minecraft Dungeons, which is like a hack and slash Diablo 2 kind of game, Diablo 3-ish game, is coming out, and Diablo 2 Remaster is coming out.
Yeah.
Let's see. We also have Battlefield 2047 for MMO players. New World's coming out, a brand new MMO by Amazon, actually.
Oh, that's weird.
It is weird. I'm kind of not sure how I feel about it still, but I want to try it out. Bloodlines Masquerade is set to release in 2022. We don't know when yet. Best estimate, I would say, is probably February or maybe late summer era, maybe.
Yeah.
Bloodlines 2. I mean, it's Vampire the Masquerade. That's an old school RPG. I want to see what they can do with that franchise. But I mean, nowadays we don't know where games are going as much, especially in development. Like Dying Light 2 is coming out. Might already be out. I don't know. But we also have, let's see. Well, I don't see very many other games, but still, we have a good amount of games coming out, coming up in this upcoming season. The holiday season always sells big games. Halo's coming out again. It felt like it's been forever since a new Halo game. I mean, did you play the Halo games when they were? You didn't play very much, did you?
No, I played. I don't know. It was probably just the first one. Maybe I played the second one a little bit, but not. It just wasn't ever something that like grabbed my attention.
Right, and so with all that coming out, we also have, like I said, the Diablo 2 remasters coming out. And I know we've been very anti-Blizzard on this channel, but still, Diablo 2 is a set-in-stone old RPG, and I can't blame anyone for buying it. I mean, it's $40 instead of the full release price, which is actually kind of strange. And from what I understand, it's built on the old game engine a little bit. Like, it's a modified version.
Yeah. So
you can even click behind and play the old game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you can play with the old graphics and everything else, and that's pretty cool. I like that. What else was I saying? So, Halo Infinite, we talked about that. Battlefield's coming out with a new game. Battlefield games are always a treat. Like, They're always just super fun. Like World War One was, I mean, that was my favorite one. I remember sniping like all the fucking time on that. Like that was my shit. It's gonna be futuristic though.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, as long as it's done right, I don't think that's. I don't know. It's those like future set games have a big task ahead of them when it comes to like grabbing my attention.
Yeah.
I just feel like if they're not done correctly, then they're kind of cheesy, or they're the same, like you've seen the same stuff over and over again.
Right.
And it's, I don't know.
And now there's a new Call of Duty game that's already out. I didn't know it was already out. I didn't even know there was a new Call of Duty game. But it's
what is that?
Vanguard.
Yeah.
You know, speaking about games that's come out recently, it makes me sad because I went back and beat, just like today, like I got done with Baldur's Gate 1 on the Switch. I played that back on the PlayStation 2. That was my game as a kid. Like, I was my shit.
Yeah.
And they did a really good remaster of it on the Switch. I really, really liked it. But well, it's not a remaster. It's just a putting it on, I guess, you know, on the newer consoles. And they're coming out with it on PC again, too, as well. So from what I understand is that version of it will be able to be on PC sometime soon. And you can actually online play with people.
Oh, that's pretty cool, yeah.
Playing an old game online, you know, because you can have two people in a party. I could definitely have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was only $30, maybe $20-$30. It wasn't a full price, so you know, that's definitely worth it to me to have it on both. I like PC better. I got it on my Switch because portability.
Right.
But I went back and beat it today, and I beat it with the dwarf, and that was really fun because he's just spinning axes around. It's just stupid. But then Baldur's Gate 3 came out not that long ago, and it was just bad reception on it. And it made me stay away from it. You remember when before it came out, I was saying I really, really wanted to buy it.
Yeah.
And I just didn't, because as soon as it came out, everyone was like, this thing fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am interested in Baldur's Gate 3, because Baldur's Gate 3 will be built on the Divinity 2 engine, which is one of those, I don't know if you played Divinity 2. No, we did play it here at the house. I hooked it up to the TV for a little bit. We played a bit, but either way, it's on that same like top-down. It's going to be turn-based instead of the old school which is a real-time with pause.
Yeah.
So it's going to be different. A lot of people don't like that. I think real-time with pause is not my favorite. It's definitely my least favorite combat style. So I'm interested in what Larian Studios can do with that.
So the new one's going to be turn-based? Is what it is?
Yeah, the new Baldur's Gate is going to be turn-based. I kind of like that. I think turn-based combat has a place in modern gaming still. Yeah,
I don't disagree with that. And I'm probably biased a little bit because a lot of the games that I played early on were turn-based, but it's, I don't know.
I mean,
it allows you time to like sit and strategize and stuff like that, which is, you know, it's a different experience, I guess, than like what a lot of the games are going for.
It's very action oriented nowadays.
Yeah. Games have gotten away from the role playing aspect of it, and they're more geared towards like a action adventure kind of like game style, because that's what it used to be. Like, so Zelda wasn't an RPG. It is technically, if you look at it that way, like for what, you know, what the name stands for.
Right.
It was actually an open action game, like as opposed to a more traditional RPG, really.
Well, like we've talked about this before, like specialization is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of games want to be everything now.
Yeah, and accessible to everyone, and
it's weird when you play a game nowadays that has like a really in-depth crafting system, and you're like, this feels weirdly tacked on. Like, it's in-depth, but it's tacked on.
Yeah. It's tacked onto the rest of the game that's not so.
Right. New World has a crafting system though, which an MMO should, I think, and that's just part of it. But But I'm very interested in New World. I play ESO all the time. I've swapped around on MMOs a lot, but ESO is the one that stayed pretty relevant for me. So I'm interested to see what the New World experience is. I think it's weird that it's produced by Amazon.
That's real weird.
That's the part.
You know, these companies are like getting into stuff that they don't like. They're not in. You know, like Amazon is producing like movies and shows now, which is. It was a used bookstore, you know. It was a used book website. That's what it was.
Well, I guess nowadays they all have Amazon's like the first one to become like $1 trillion company. Like they're set to do that first. And,
yeah.
And that's one of those things. I think when you have $1 trillion at your disposal, or near it at least, you know, you got money to start up a game development company out of nowhere.
Yeah. Dip our toe in here and see how it goes.
I hope New World works out good. I know early on they had some monetization things that were kind of
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what happens whenever a game development company comes out of a company that isn't game development. Like, you know that they're mostly business. It's kind of like, you know, Bobby Kotick being the CEO or CEO of Blizzard Activision. Like his background isn't all gaming. Like a lot of these companies don't have backgrounds in gaming. They have game developers, but like the people at the top don't care about games as much.
Right.
And with the Final Fantasy remakes, you want to talk about that? Or are you still a little sad about it?
I'm real sad about it. Like, not just sad, I'm pissed off. Like, there's an auto button in the games. There shouldn't be an auto button in the game.
It's Raid Shadow Legends now.
Like,
it's Raid Shadow Legends.
You took a console game and you made it a fucking phone game. Like, it's not.
You know, I don't understand. I get it that the game's grindy, but that's part of the game. Those Final Fantasy games are mostly grinding.
Like, there's fundamental gameplay aspects that make the games what they are. Like, deal with it. I don't know what.
Well, they're supposed to be remakes, but it doesn't feel like it's a remaking. It feels like a.
If you know what you did is you went back and you stuck an auto button on it. Like, you went back and you were like, all right, I don't want to do this part of the game, so I'm just going to make an auto button where it does it for me. Like,
and they're not all out yet. They are still coming out with new ones, which is really.
So you're just going to get smacked over and over again with games that suck.
You know what? I bet if you played the first one and used the auto battler function, you're probably already done with the game enough to play the second one. Yeah. And then they're probably releasing it within a time frame because they release them not like on the same day. So they're going like, I don't know. I think they're like a couple weeks between them, or maybe a week or two. And if you're using auto battler, you probably can beat Final Fantasy in a week.
You don't have to think about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that those games are hard, though. Like, not inherently that difficult, because they're old. Like, they're the older games. But, like, that's part of the grind. That's part of the difficulty, is having your team lined out right, so that you have to play it through.
Yeah.
You can't, if you're not playing it through and everything's just best case scenario, then you really don't have to care about your team's lineup as much. I guess you kind of have to, but then you start setting things up for the computer to win, not you.
Right.
Like, you got things that set up in a weird way where, like, everyone's got a weird, like, heal now, everyone's got this now, everything, you know what I mean? And then you just want the computer to win now. I wish auto battlers would just die off completely.
Be real nice, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I get maybe for a phone, you know, if you want to play a phone game, maybe. But
I like it. It upsets me that they even exist there, because like you're playing a game. You're supposed to be playing the game. Like, it's part of what you're doing inherently.
I don't like to play a game that I can alt tab and still win. Like, if I can swap over and watch Netflix while playing a game, am I playing the game? You know what I mean?
I don't think you are.
No, you're kind of just winning. Charlie Sheen, you know, I'm by winning. Like,
yeah. So a thing, I guess, that's been said or put a certain way here more recently around games is that like companies are trying to make games more accessible for everybody. In their way in controlling that is difficulty. That's not accessibility. This is a good example of accessibility. So there is an audio-driven adventure game called The Veil: Shadow of the Crown, and it's audio-driven, so blind people can play it. Like, but it's not like I've read an article about this today, talking about the game. Somebody that had tested it because it sounds interesting. Like you're playing you're effectively playing an RPG without actually being able to see anything. So,
which is a unique concept, I'd say.
It's an extremely unique concept. Maybe other games exist like that. I'm not sure, but I personally have never come across it. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So like, this is not inherently easy either. And it's for like, you can't see anything, right? Like it's adapted for blind people. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like the game's not inherently easy. Like
right, because a blind person
doesn't
doesn't need an easy mode. A blind person can play a game.
Right.
They can't see, but doesn't mean that their brain isn't like there.
Right. Like I think it's insulting to like put it that way.
It's not meant to be. It's like
no, I mean
like people are still
accessibility we're gonna make games more accessible by making them easier to play. I think that's insulting.
It does seem a little insulting. Like I get tired of it. Like Microsoft had the same kind of thing where they released the gamepad where for people who have a variety of issues.
Yeah.
And these medical issues aren't like, it doesn't make the game easier. This pad just allows anyone with physical ailments to play games, and that doesn't make it easier, it makes it different. Accessibility shouldn't make things just easier.
No.
You should make things more functional.
Yes, more functional. That is a good way. Yes. Like, so in the I guess this person, I saw it on Game Informer. So the author was discussing their experience with it, and they were like I couldn't pay attention to the game without closing my eyes. All right, that makes sense because you're letting your vision override your hearing, so you close your eyes. And then like they even go on to discuss like, hey, you better have a good set of headphones because like you need to be able to hear stuff because that's what this game is, and that makes sense. Like,
I mean, it sounds like a difficult game though for a person.
For
a person who isn't blind, it might even be more difficult. Who knows?
It probably is in all reality, right? Like, and I don't think the game is, I'm going to guess, from the description of it, I haven't played it, but from the description of it, like, I'm going to guess the game is not inherently easy to play. Like, it talks about you have to find, like, your character in the beginning of the game wants a drink, and you can hear a stream. So now you got to get to the stream.
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
And there is a combat system in this game.
Oh, that's cool.
You're combating and can't see. Like, there's nothing inherently easy about that, I would say. Now, I haven't played the games. I'm not talking from personal experience, but, like...
If you're not blind, though, we do, as people who aren't blind, like, we definitely rely on our vision a lot.
Yeah.
And so without it, it definitely leaves you in, well, the shadow of the shadow is the name, the veil, and that's difficult.
When I hear, hey, we're making games more accessible, this is a great example of that. Not, hey, I'm going to take chess and make it tic-tac-toe, and now everybody can play chess. Like, it's not the same concept. It's not the same thing. That should not be your line of thought. And that's where I think.
So that, like what you're saying with that idea, it's also in the same vein, the opposite way as well, because not only do they make it easier, sometimes they stack it against you.
Yeah.
Like, we watched John Strife Hayes' new video that just came out, and he brought up that, like in PvP, on balance, you know what I mean? It's like, I have all queens as pawns.
Right.
That's how people, like, see accessibility in games now. Sometimes it's either make it really easy for like anyone, or power band your character up to such a degree that the game just doesn't like function.
Yeah. I just like I don't agree with any of that. I agree with balanced gaming. I think that's where the thought of like not knowing where a developer is going to take games nowadays is. I think that's where that comes from, because it really bothers me whenever I'm expecting something because a certain franchise or title or what, you know, it could be 1, it could be like 9, because there are game franchises that have a lot of installments out,
like Final Fantasy,
right? When a company has put a game out, a title out, and they've set a standard for that, like what you can expect from it, and then they fail to meet it, it's a huge letdown, number one. Number two, like, it depends on how they fail to meet it. Like, I might not play the games anymore. If you change it enough, I might just stop.
Yeah, you know, you, especially if you're an invested guy in the series itself, like you're invested in the franchise.
Yeah. That
makes things really difficult. I think the big ones for me were like Fable. Like, I bring up Fable a lot now, but I mean, it's one of those things on my mind.
I think there was a Fable something actually on one of those lists we looked at.
Yeah, they're coming up with a new Fable soon, and that worries me because I didn't like number 2 and I didn't like number 3 either. But a lot of people like those ones, and I understand that, but it was a directional change, and I think it's just something, I don't know. I'm worried because I want, like, a lot of, you gotta cater to the people that were there.
Yeah.
But you also
didn't build it off the back of nothing.
Right. Like, and like now, like, you know, with the Elder Scrolls, I'm worried about where they're going to take the next game, and then it's because I don't know how many developers, like, not even developers. I want to be very clear. It's not 90% of it. It's not the developers. It's the people at the top that I don't trust to make a good game.
Yeah.
You know, the game directors, the CEOs, the big business guys, and it's because a lot of them, like, just don't come from a gaming background.
Right.
And I think that's something that's worrying. Like, you know, if you had a CEO of a game company tweet out something like, I just did the in-game boss, like, you'd be like, oh, that's cool, he plays the game.
Right.
But most of the times the tweets they send out are like, we have reached a high mass of money.
Yeah. Like,
and we're doing good, the business is good, all things are good. And you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
Like, I'm a tweet back and mention your name and say, is the game good though? Because if you got a bunch of people, if you have everybody, and look, this, all right, so you know what? Maybe accessibility is a thing, but it's not really accessibility; it's popularity.
Right.
So,
like, Fortnite is accessible because it's on every device.
Right. But you're gonna have, like, if the game is a good game for what should be its target audience, it's not going to be accepted by everybody. Right? Like,
yeah, I mean, because, I mean, I hate to say it like this. It's probably not the way to say it, and I'm going off the cuff a bit on it, but it's, you know, Morrowind is a game I love.
Yeah.
Oblivion is a game I love. Skyrim I hate.
Yeah.
But it's like that. That's the whole rotation of it. It's like things are turning into games that are like games themselves, the franchises themselves are turning into games that are meant for the masses.
Yeah, and
it's not meant for the people who wanted the game in the first place. Like,
right.
People who played Oblivion wanted Skyrim to be Oblivion 2. People who played Morrowind wanted Oblivion to be Morrowind 2. And
right.
And throughout the lineup, it just gets more and more, like, dulled so that everyone can jump on. And I'm okay with everyone enjoying a game, but I don't think every game should be everyone's cup of tea. Like,
no, it shouldn't be.
Because games are an art form.
Yeah, they are. That's why there are so many titles. There's so many different types of games. Like,
well, not everyone likes Mozart.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if it was any other type of industry, it wouldn't be that way. Like, you don't expect Marilyn Manson to, you know, start making pop music because it makes him more money.
No. You know, like, and I think that's a good analogy, like, or, you know, it's not, Like, games should not be the equivalent of radio music. And I don't have anything against radio music. I just don't listen to it very often because it's made for everybody that's got a radio in their vehicle or sitting on the shelf at home or whatever.
I mean,
And,
hell,
like,
I've turned on the radio at, you know, like even me, like I listen to specialty music, but if I'm driving like a long distance, I'll turn on the radio for a little bit.
see, and I don't think, all right, so the specialty part of that statement, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just somebody's making the music they want to make,
Yeah.
and it speaks to a certain, certain like group of people, right?
Right. I mean,
Games, I think,
yeah.
are the same way. Like, Final Fantasy was the last game that company was going to make. That's why it's named that.
Right.
And it hit and did so well that they suddenly didn't have to be the last game. Now, they're all disjointed from one another in some way, but
I mean,
it's now a franchise that like everybody knows, which is fine, but like when it comes down to playing the game, like maybe not everybody's gonna like it, and you can see that because there's an auto button in it now. Like,
I don't like Final Fantasy that much. Like, I like 10. I mean, we've talked about this before. Like,
yeah.
I have a few games in the franchise that I can point to and been like, I enjoyed those games. I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts, though, which was more action-oriented than it was, and that's more like we were talking about action-adventure, less than tactical.
Right.
But I enjoyed those games.
There's a lot of people that played Final Fantasy that did not like Final Fantasy Tactics.
And there's a lot of people
because
that,
it's so, like, it's like
Final Fantasy Tactics, from what I understand, was like really in depth.
It was extremely grindy. Like, it just was. Because you
Mhm.
had a job, like, so your job system was the whole basis of, like, everything in the game. Every job every job in the system had, like, 3 or 4, like, subclasses you could go down.
Right, you level up to a certain degree, and then
now
your
you're
knight
something
becomes
else, and you start over.
Yeah, and then I don't understand a lot of Final Fantasy, and I'll admit that. You're more the Final Fantasy expert in the room here.
Well, it's they tried their hand at different things over time, and that's fine. Like, when they weren't trying to cater to everybody. And I don't even know that, like, okay, so the Pixel remasters, yeah, that's a shot at trying to cater to everybody, because not everybody's
Right.
going to want to play the game and grind and get good
Yeah.
good at it.
Well, their MMO doesn't do that, though, even. Like, their MMO is very, like, this is the people who like Final Fantasy will like
Right.
this.
Right.
And that's
And
good.
it should be.
Right.
Because the people who like it are the reason you make money. Like, and that's where that comes in, right? Like, you cater to the people that actually like the game for what it is, as opposed to, hey, I'm gonna grab $5 every month from every person that I can get.
Right,
like that's a dumbass business model.
Well, I mean, when I was growing up, some people had Oblivion.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people that I knew had Oblivion. My brother had Oblivion. A couple of like my friends, like older brothers, had Oblivion, stuff like that. But like, Oblivion was a more niche game, but the people who liked it really liked it.
Yeah.
Or at least the people who played it like remember it well.
Yeah.
And then the people who got, like, when Skyrim came out, I don't think I remember an Xbox that didn't come with Skyrim. Like, everyone had Skyrim.
Yeah.
And that's good that people got into the franchise. But then that also came an issue where, like people thought Skyrim was, like, the first in the series.
Right.
Like, and that's an issue.
Like, it's literally Elder Scrolls 5, guys.
Yeah, and they don't read the Elder Scrolls part.
Right.
Because they're just like, oh, that's just subtext.
Yeah.
They read it as, this is Skyrim, everyone owns Skyrim. Skyrim must be what all the games are.
Right.
And hell, I'm sure if you gave a guy at the time, like in 2011, if you were like, or 2012, let's say, he played Skyrim for a year, and you were like, hey, have you played Morrowind? They'd be like, what is this trash?
Yeah.
But it's like, because that's what they played. They enjoyed that version, whereas all the diehard, like older fans of it were like, I don't really get, like, this one doesn't fill the Elder Scrolls for me.
Right. It doesn't. And it's, it's okay for games to, like, change and stuff.
And I do want games to change. I want games to adapt and become bigger,
Yes.
but I don't want them to be, like, unrecognizable.
No. When you take a game and you're like, all right, you know what? This is the next installment in this game, but it's really some other game just skinned to look like it. Like, that's not the same thing. And it's problematic
We're more talking about franchises, though, more than we are talking about individual games. Like, individual games can be whatever.
Yeah, it's as a whole. I think it's gotten to a point where, like, when you see a new title is coming out for a franchise that's been around for a little bit, you're like, I personally approach it in a way where
it's skepticism.
Yeah, I'm like, this might be real watered down if I get it. Like, I don't know.
And then you also got to contend with a lot of these new games have microtransactions, like, just stuffed in them. Like, here's a new map, $5. Here's a gun, $5. Here's an unlock to half the game, $5. And then, like, Deus Ex was the one that got me. Like, Mankind Divided came out, and I liked that one. And then Human Revolution. Wait, I might be getting them backwards. Either way, I played the one of them. I can't. My mind's slipping on the name. And the new installment came out, and it was an issue because, like, you could pay for skill points in a single player game.
That's ridiculous.
That's stupid, right? Like, it's like, I don't remember how much it was. It was like $1 or $2 each. But it's like, that's enough to be like, why? Like, the thought that you pay for skill points, is something that bothers me. Like Dead Space. Like, Dead Space 1 came out, it was really good. Dead Space 2 came out, really good. Dead Space 3, and it's like, you can buy weapon upgrades. And it's like, what, where, why? Like, you know, that doesn't...
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it fully. It's really irritating, like...
And so a lot of these, you don't know until they come out.
Yeah, no, you don't.
No.
It's
the gotcha
That's
system.
what bothers me. Yes, it's absolutely that. Because you get it, like, if you look at it and you let yourself get excited about it, and then you go get the game and you bring it back and try to play it, and you're like, well, I don't know what's going on here. Like, I want my money back.
Yeah, why am I being charged $5 for this and this and this? And and Call of Duty 4 or Black Ops 4 got me on that. Yeah. Like, they got me hard. Yeah. Like, I didn't buy anything, by the way. Like, I stayed stalwart to it. Yeah. But they got me. Because I bought the game because they said there would be no loot box transactions, shit like that, and I believed them. Yeah. And that was a bad mistake. Yeah. Because it took, what was it? I don't even think it was a full year. And then they were like, oh, wait, we said that? No, we didn't. Here's loot boxes. Right. And it's, now it's not only, because we live in the digital era, where like, you know, when PlayStation 2 era, you bought a disc, that was the game. Like, there was no add-on later.
No, now you can spend money on the add-ons and the DLCs and the skins and the fucking everything that, like, made the game to begin with.
Who's to say that the game you bought that doesn't have microtransactions today won't tomorrow?
Right. It's frustrating.
It's not hard for them to add it in.
It's not.
No, they can add it in any moment. And you now, because now you don't own a physical copy. Right. You own what is essentially a key to the door of the game. Right. Like, you can unlock the door. Yeah. But you don't own the thing inside. Right. Like, it's like having it's like having the key to your neighbor's house to check on their dog, and then you kept the key. Yeah. But, like, it's still not your dog. Right. Like, nah.
I saw a thing, so all this talk about this makes me think about this. So I don't know, it was like a week or two ago. I saw something on, so like open world RPGs used to be called something different. And I think it was a video that I watched or something. But the essence of what they were talking about was, all right, so maybe we need to back up from this open world thing for a minute, because we're not doing anything with it. Like,
most open worlds are just a painted on background to make the playtime bigger from walking.
Yeah, and that's right. That's what they were talking about. They're like, there's no, like, you have point A and point B, but there's nothing in between. Like, there's a good scenery, but it's not interactive. Like, it's open world, and we've taken this concept and ran with it and made it something that it wasn't originally, which is what happens, right? Like, that's fundamentally what we're talking about here.
Like, Skyrim was like that for me a lot. Like, a lot. To the point where, like, it was better to just fast travel than play.
Yeah. I could see that. Like, because, like, what are you going to do in between, right? Like,
I see a Dwemer ruin, maybe. I go do something in it. I might get lost for an hour doing it, but like, you come out unscathed. You come out with more things than you went in with, more times than not. You barely have a risk, and that's a lot of games nowadays. It's like there's not even a risk management. Like in Morrowind, and I always bring up Morrowind, but that's just the one that makes the most sense in this thing. Is like, you could come out of a dungeon in Morrowind like fucked up.
Yeah.
Like like fucked up for like the next few play sessions. Fucked
Yeah.
up. Like, you better go to a chapel, get your shit back, like all your stats.
Yeah.
And then you might still have to run back and grab your shit you left behind. Like,
Yeah.
or you make it out and now you're going back to your destination. Like, you're going to you're going to B. But
Yeah.
you stopped in at C for a second to grab some shit.
Yeah.
But now you're going on to B, like, and you're 200 out of 300 carry capacity, and you started with 50 weight,
Yeah.
and now you're really struggling to move 4 feet at a time.
Yeah.
And you get all the way there, and it's like, you just don't have enough shit. You just don't have enough room to put the thing you were there for in your bag.
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing that could happen.
Yeah.
And
it makes sense, like, for those types of games, when that was happening, everybody, like, what was being reached for was like a real, like, it was like a balance between gameplay and reality to some extent, is what it felt like.
It made things feel more realistic whenever it was something you had to consider.
Yeah, it did. Because and guess what? Like, life is that way, right? Like, you can only carry so much. You as a person can only carry so much. So
I don't think I can carry 300 pounds worth of
like just
Daedric
around with
axes
you. Right,
sitting in my bags. Like,
right, like, I mean, they could have gone real hard with it and been like, you know what? You can't stick an axe in a bag. You got to carry that thing on your back. Now you can only carry like 4 of them. Because you're gonna have two on your back and 1 on each side, like, strapped to your body. So now you barely move.
They could have, but like, the thing is that Morrowind, even still, like, it doesn't go super hard, but it it gives you penalties.
Yeah.
For being a certain way. Like,
yeah.
That's all that you need to make a game feel lived in, is certain penalties for some things and bonuses for being another way. Like,
right. It's
like, Dark Elves don't really like Khajiit. You
Right.
picked a Khajiit. I mean, buddy, like, I can't help you there.
Now you got a problem.
You got a problem, but look, you can sneak real good.
Yeah.
That's good to you.
Yeah.
But like, you might be sneaking more than talking.
Yeah.
Like, you're not really gonna get much info.
It's so, I guess back to this video that I watched. So what the point of it was is, like, so the open world concept, and I agree with this. The open world concept has taken on like a new life. Like, it's not what it really was meant to be. Now it's just, like you said, it's like a painted on, like, you're just walking through it and it's not like, so the massive open world that you went through, like, painstaking, like, hours of work to build, doesn't really mean anything because I'm just able to walk through it.
That's a nice boulder right there, I guess, but like, I don't really see a purpose because I'm not going to stop there.
Right, and it's, so on the flip side of the coin, what was, I wish I could remember where I watched it. I don't even remember where I watched it now. It's probably on YouTube, but like, I don't remember where it came from. But so on the flip side of that conversation, they were talking about, we should probably go back to like the sandbox concept, because like, before open world, before that term, it was called sandbox, right? And what it meant was, is you got this area, you can do whatever you want to in it, but it's just this area. But you can do whatever you want to in it, right?
Right.
Like, you can interact with the environment, you can interact with the people that are in it, you can, it's a game.
Like, you can not only interact, but some games even let you go far enough. Like, Minecraft is more of a sandbox than an open world.
Yeah.
In that way, and it's because you can put anything anywhere. Right.
And so, I guess to their point, really, like the way you just said it is kind of their point. Like, so at some point in time, this concept that once was one thing is now split into two, and you have one where, like, your environment is even part of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, open world sandbox would be like, that's a hybrid, but like, I would much prefer a smaller game space that had more to do in the smaller world than a big world with not a lot to do.
Right.
I think a lot of people would prefer more interaction or more things to do in their game. And I think it often comes at the detriment of having a big, like you can look and go to that mountain. That's cool, but why can't I do something on the way to the mountain?
So I notice it, and I like before I say this, I'm going to say I enjoy the game Elder Scrolls Online, but like I notice it in ESO, like it's got there is a humongous map. Like it's the only one in the with the Elder Scrolls title that's ever taken on all of the entire continent, right?
It's not all done yet, but it's a big fucking map.
It is. It's massive.
Yeah.
But like you fast travel everywhere, right? Because all the bullshit in between is not engaging. Like
no, a lot of the times you're not gonna walk from Deshaun all the way down to Glenumbra. No. You're not gonna walk from Shadowfen.
There's no incentive to do so.
No, there's not. I will say I do like that you have to walk to the zone first on some of the places, but
yeah, I think that makes sense because like you don't inherently have all this knowledge of everything, right? Like unless you're playing Skyrim and then you do.
Right.
But
Skyrim was like, look, you can just hire a carriage to take you somewhere, and then now you have that location. And
right.
But Oblivion was even worse, honestly. Because they just gave you every major city to fast travel to outside the game.
That's kind of silly, like
I get it, like the maps there, everyone can get a map. Like if you were like in the world, like you could just get a map of the world, but that doesn't mean you know your way to there.
Right.
It means you know the route that is on the map.
Right. It's I don't know. It was something that I had seen, and so having this conversation made me talk or think about it. I think I agree with that. Like, I don't care so much that the map is so big that like walking around it's something I don't want to do. Just because it's so big. I would much prefer, like you were talking about, I would much prefer to have a smaller world that's far more inclusive, or far more interactive.
Morrowind did that pretty well, because like you would stop in at like Ashlander camps all around the upper parts, and then down below there were a lot of cities, and there were a lot of caves and dungeons and things to do, and they were weighable. Like you could weigh them in your mind before doing them.
Right.
Yeah, it was different. It was a different game time. It was a different time of development.
It was, but I think it's not like I don't think that particular thing is bad for these games because so in the video there was a couple of examples given. There was like a Mad Max game.
Yeah.
See, like the environment, like walking or being in the environment.
Yeah.
Could potentially fuck you up. Like being in the wrong place whenever something happened in the environment could cause you real problems, in the game.
Witcher 3 did a good job. I do remember that a lot because they had places of power. They would give you an extra skill point if you could fight the thing that would come out of it. Like, that's a small thing in the world you can go do.
Right.
They had plenty of side quests going on. They had tons of just small towns doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like, they're just going about their day-to-day life. And then, you could stop in, read on the board, and say, oh, shit, there's a monster here. I should go talk to the guy who posted this on the board. And, that made it feel lived in.
Yeah.
Way more than most games did at the time. But then again, Witcher 2, like I played that game, and that game is like it's set pieces. Like you are in one zone, like one smaller area, you do one thing, and then you leave that area, you go to the next area, you do one thing, and you go to the next area. It's like it's more, I guess you could call sandboxy, because it's like you have a defined area of what you can do, but there's a lot in it.
Yeah.
And, they're two different game designs, but The Witcher 3 pulled it off right. Whereas I think a lot of games, they think big map means more game.
Right, and it doesn't.
No.
What it means is more walk time. Like,
it means more...
if there's not a fast travel system,
It means more... It means there's potentially more to do.
There's a place to put more to do.
Right.
It doesn't
mean that the developers could put more things there. It doesn't mean they did put more things there.
Right.
What it often means is that they have more room to do more things, like in a way, but it's not always more content. It's like there's more bandits out.
Right.
So it's like, oh, I guess I'll add these 400 more bandit heads to my bag. Like, it's not
Right.
It's not really much. Like, I mean, I remember whenever you get to high level in Magic, you'd have a chance of someone in the world stopping you and being like, hey, like, I'm a wizard, let's have a wizard duel at Skyrim. And you'd be like, oh, okay. Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like, let's do it. So you do it, and you'd win, because you're, badass. But, like, that would happen, and then that's open world. That's things that can happen in the world.
It's random stuff that just happens,
But does that mean that I got more content out of it? I mean, if you think about it, like, one wizard duel every now and then, does that compete with a smaller world that has, like, people that need things done more, or tasks going on? Like, I don't know. I don't think random encounters or more activity, like, in general, always means more things.
No, it's so the way it was being presented was like this thought, right?
Yeah.
So Skyrim is set in, and this is an example. Was not in the video, but like to apply what was being talked about, right? The logic. So Skyrim is set in like a snowy place.
Yeah.
So it's cold. Like most of the ground is covered. Everywhere you look, most of the ground is covered in snow.
Or at least like fucking dark, like, because it's cold. Like the fucking air's dense.
Right. So being in a place like that, like you couldn't. What the logic they were kind of like leaning towards, I guess, was,
or what you took away from
freezing. Yeah. What it seemed like, but. And it was repeatedly presented in the way that made me think this, but like the way that I understood what they were talking about was, all right, so you're in kind of like an arid way, like a really cold, like arid wasteland in some places,
right?
And you can't just be out in it all the time.
Yeah.
You can't just, like, even if you are Nord, like, you're not gonna walk around in snow in freaking bearskin boots for 36 hours. Like, you're not, because your feet are gonna turn black and fall off. Like,
right. I mean, it's kind of, yeah.
And that might be like a silly example, but it's that kind of thing. Like, the environment interacts with your character, and your character interacts with the environment that you're in. Like, so now the world actually means something.
It's a more lived-in experience that way. I mean, it is an issue. It really drives me wild that they. I mean, like, Cyrodiil didn't need something like that, because Cyrodiil was just plains. But like, I don't know, with Skyrim, I feel like they could have added.
They had a thing in those games though, like you had a reason to sleep.
Yeah, because I mean, leveling up was tied to that. But in Skyrim, it kind of boggles my mind that they didn't make like the frozen part of the gameplay.
It's
like you can walk around in underwear the whole game.
Yeah,
and it's like below 0 temps outside.
So that's, it's alright, like, if you want to do that, but you're not going to be outside for 2 hours.
Well, really, I think I remember the first time playing, I remember swimming around and realizing I wasn't, like, I thought about it, I was like, why am I not getting hurt by, like, swimming in frozen water?
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing to think, but I remember thinking it at one point. It might not have been my first playthrough, but I remember early on being like, it kind of would make sense that, even though I'm an Argonian, like, I was playing Argonian, I remember that. So it was one of my first playthroughs. And I was like, this is kind of weird that, like, I don't like have any issue with this. Like, I can swim quick because I'm an Argonian, but like I feel like this should hurt, or like, or do something. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I can swim where glaciers are. Right.
It's difficult because I guess the example I gave is kind of silly. Like, I understand that.
Here's the thing, though: you are gonna swim though, because water walking's no longer a thing in Skyrim.
Whatever. Like,
and that's the whole wrap-in with all of it. Is games today, they worry me before they come out.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
No.
I don't like having to. I don't like because as a customer, of games, like specifically, I buy a lot of video games. I would like to know that the game I'm gonna play has content in it and things to do that will keep me occupied while I do it.
Right.
I don't want to have to stop and think before buying the game. Will I have to shell out $5 just to get this? Will I have to do this? Like, when done tastefully, microtransactions can be okay.
Yeah.
Like, for someone, if I'm playing your game and I really, really enjoy it, and I'm having a great time, I have no issue dropping $10 on a costume or whatever. Like,
yes, skins.
Yeah, like, I have no issue with that, because that to me is like, you know, I've enjoyed the game enough that I'm okay with throwing more money at you.
Right.
But then nowadays it's more like that's part of the game. Like, the game requires your money.
Yeah, and it's never posed that way. They're like, oh, it's free to play. Yeah, like after 6 years of playing, and now you're playing with everybody.
Yeah.
Like, and you're really not anymore because everybody else is spending money those 6 years. Like,
yeah, and
you're on a different playing ground.
It's a different experience.
Game.
It's a different experience a lot of times. And Elder Scrolls Online does that too, but MMOs, you know, they have the buy-in like system.
Right.
And that's what's standard now. It's server cost, stuff like that, and everything else. And I understand MMOs doing it, but I don't understand. I understand an MMO asking me for $15 a month. I can get behind that. I can rationalize it.
It's an ever-changing, like, they might just put something in the game tonight.
Right,
like,
and like, we get all the DLCs day one.
Right.
We get all the shit that comes out right as it comes out, except expansions, which is understandable because expansions are like big content drops.
Yeah, they're worked on.
Right,
like, for a while.
And they're typically come out like infrequent enough, and ESO, like, not infrequent, they come out frequently enough that, like, you know, it's worth it. Like, and you could buy the new expansions for like $40. They're not a full game value typically.
Right.
Like Blackwood, like, it came out for, I think it was $40, and then they had the 60 version. The 60 version came with the mount and a couple other things, and like that makes sense. Like, that's okay. Like, I'm okay with you bundling in a few extra things for a full game value because you understand that an expansion isn't a full game. So if you want me to pay full game value, you better offer other things.
Right.
And then I think the $80 one was like, you know, you get a bunch of other things in it. It's like, okay, you want me to spend more than that, offer me more.
Right.
Like, ESO understood that. And they were like, look, if you want to buy in, you can pay not full game value and get everything. Or if you want to pay full game value, we have things that can make that offer better.
Right.
But now it's like if I bought the new Call of Duty game, you know, and I know that, like, you will easily go over $120 if you were to want to stay competitive in the game.
Yes.
Like, and that's after the 60, because you're not gonna buy the 60 version. That's a thing I want to get into real quick. You don't buy games for $60 anymore. No. $60 is the pleb tier. Right. You get to be in the game.
Right.
Like, you're not buying the game for $60. You're buying a key to be in it.
Right.
$80 now is where you get a game.
Right.
You get the game and you don't get completely shafted. Like, we're not gonna completely shaft you.
Right.
We're gonna shaft you a little though, because, like, you didn't cough up 120. But hey, look, if you give us 120, we will give you the promise of things that may come.
Right.
And you're like, may come? And they're like, yeah. Here's our season pass. And our season pass offers 3 DLCs. And you're like, okay, what are the DLCs? And they're like, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
We haven't made it yet. So you're like, okay, but that doesn't mean that you get 3 DLCs. What that means is you get 3 things labeled DLC.
Right.
Like, that could be 2 guns, or that could be a map. And those are 2 very, very different things. One is more valuable than the other, but when you think about it, I don't think the map's the more valuable one when it comes to competitive, which is weird. Because now we're in a part where it's like, competition is value, which means money.
Yeah.
Like it's like every game
That
wants to
kinda
be a
goes-
card game.
That kind of goes back, yeah. right.
Every game's a fucking card game now. Collect all the blue eyes dragons.
I mean, like, look, Red Eyes Black Dragon, okay. But
man,
here's the thing, though. I don't think that's wrong. I think that's probably like right on the money, is because, and I say that because that's how card games were, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how all card games are.
Even
when
now.
it's like
if you
Magic
want
the Gathering,
God,
Pokemon,
yeah.
any of that stuff.
If you want to play Magic now, like you're shelling out at least 100 to get started.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not gonna start with like
You gotta buy the
15
booster
bucks.
packs, man. And I think all these game companies, it makes perfect sense if you think about it.
Yeah, they
All
saw.
these game companies were like, oh, these guys are buying booster packs for card games. We can get them to do that for like tangible or not even tangible stuff, but like digital content that we make it sound like we work really super hard on.
Right. I mean, you can.
No, you reskinned the gun and gave it some kind of weird ability, and now I want it. But
Day
I gotta pay
one
you $30
DLCs,
for
man.
it.
Day one DLCs get me in the heart because it's like you know what they did. If
Yeah.
you're giving a day one DLC,
Yes.
it means you took the content you've made, you
Yes.
went chop, separate, and go $5 more, please.
Yes.
And it's not often $5. It's like 15.
It's exactly what happens, though. You
Yeah.
know it is, because if you had a day one DLC, you had the content already, put it in the game.
That
Don't fuck me.
Yeah, they found somewhere in the game that they could remove something that could that you couldn't tell in the base game experience directly,
Right.
but you would if you bought it.
Yeah.
If you bought it, you'd be like, oh, this is how the game was supposed to be. Some of them are even like mid-game things, which is weird. Like that starts to fuck with you because you're like it's like quest that comes in the middle of the game and you're like, why is this a DLC?
Yeah.
Like this was here before.
Yeah.
Why are you charging me for something you had placed here before? Like all you're doing, now you're selling me a second key.
Right.
Because the game isn't a game anymore, it's a key. But now I need a second key to get in and do the whole, like, it's like, you know, you got a screen door. So you can open the screen door, but now, but you're still at the door.
Yeah.
Like, you're still at the door. So, like, if you want the full experience, like, you got to stand on our porch.
Right.
So, you know, that was $60 worth. Our porch is $60 worth to stand on. But if you want to come inside the house,
Yeah.
like, I'm going to tell you, we do have an entrance fee. And it's another $15. And you're like, okay, fine. Fuck you. Here's your $15. I want to come in the house. You come in the house, you try to grab a glass of water, and they're like, ooh,
Yeah.
you need water tokens. And you're like, what? And they're like, yeah, so you can't spend money now. And now you have to give us money to get water tokens. And you're like, how much is a water token? Well, hold on, you need 100 water tokens to get one glass, but we have them in this weird way. So you can either buy 80 water tokens.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, that's not enough for one glass of water. It's like, that's $10. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. But we also have what's our big bundle, and it's 170 water tokens. You're like, wait, that means I could get a glass and 70% of a glass? And they're like, no, you can't get 70%. You have to have 100 tokens. You're like, okay, is there a one that lets me have each one of them be a glass? And it's like, yeah, our $30 option, that's 300. And they're like, all right, so I have to spend $30 more to get what I wanted 3 times, but I just wanted one.
Yes.
And because how math works in people's minds, like it's just how our brains work. We're like, well, I think the $30 option's better because that makes more sense to me because it's an equal amount.
Right.
But it's like no, like that's how they get you. You know, they got you now. You got. And now you have too many water tokens. And guess what? If you don't spend them all now, the next game comes out. The next house is built, and you have to pay for another key to get in. And the thing is, your old water tokens don't transfer over.
Yeah.
So you gotta buy more.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like that's the Call of Duty situation for me. It's like you buy in, you pay too much to get in,
Yeah.
you play the game, and then you're just like, man, I'm having a great time. This is fun. What's that? I need COD points?
Yeah.
How do I get them? Oh, I guess I'll throw my wallet in the river.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much here for me anymore if I don't start paying, and that's sad because I was liking this game before, but now now to play the game I paid for, I have to pay more.
Yeah.
And it even is in single player games now. It's in all kinds of formats where it's. And now, like, you know, now you can't even play the game you paid for because auto battlers will play it for you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. You don't
just click the button and then go
Yeah, man. Like I paid
to the other room because the game's playing itself.
Well, yeah, but you gotta have water tokens to do that.
I mean, look, all right. So you pay a little bit more, you click the button, and then you walk away for a minute. Well, you drink 4 glasses of water.
Because if you don't drink them all, the next game will come out and you can't pay for. You have to pay again. I wish that, like, honestly, and this is probably the weirdest call to action I'll ever say, but I wish that all the people who are on top of game developers, who just aren't game people, would just stop in the game industry.
Yeah.
Like Delta Airlines and World of Warcraft aren't the same thing.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, one of them's money oriented and one of them shouldn't be money oriented. It should be gaming.
Yeah.
Cuz I know that Bobby Kotick doesn't play WoW. I can promise you he does never played a Call of Duty game.
No.
You know what he's probably... I think one time he did have an interview where he said he played Skylanders with his kids. Where it's like, okay, you played a game with your kids.
Right.
You're not a gamer. Right. You're not. And that's okay. But maybe don't come to the game industry and start trying to make change. Like,
right.
That's where we get cube crawling. I can't let that one go fully. No. But I still, like, let's not get too far on it. It's just, I wish games were more for the gamers and not for the... I wish games were for the games and not the stockholders.
Yeah, it's like, look, it's okay for you to make money off of a game. I'm not, like, I don't think that's being said here. What I do think is being said is, it should not on the face of it scream at you, hey, I'm here to take your money.
Yeah.
And give you a shitty gameplay experience.
Well, do you remember back whenever games were moving to a digital format?
Yeah.
And they said that the game's cost would go down because they didn't have to print discs?
Yeah.
Do you remember hearing that?
Yes, that did not happen. It's backwards.
Yeah. I remember hearing that, and I feel like we've gone up on price.
Absolutely. You used to buy a game for $40 to $60. Like, it's, you know, it's fluctuated in there, but like, that's about the cost of what a game always has been, really.
Right, but $60 back then was a bit more, right? So like
it was a little bit more.
You
but
spent
like,
a little more.
A game.
I don't know exactly how
the game was there.
Right, like you purchased the game, you paid your money, you got in, and now the game is yours. Like you own a physical media.
Yeah.
And now we don't own a physical media, which is okay. I'm okay with the digital era. I like the digital era. Yeah. I like it so much because I could just buy a game and have it on my computer and I can be playing it before the guys who got it on a disc can download it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in, I'm done, I'm in, I'm ready. Yeah. But, I'm tired of like, you know, I'm tired of getting in and then finding out that I have to pay $15 more. And the guys who haven't downloaded it yet because they got the physical option, they don't know it yet.
Yeah.
But when they get there, they're going to know it.
Yeah.
They're going to know it real hard. They're going to realize that, like, and I think it comes into, what's it called? The, you know, when you spend money on a game, you're more likely to spend more money. Because it's like, I can't remember the term it's a psychological term where essentially you get invested and at a certain point, you look at it like, I gotta keep paying because if I don't, like all the money I've put in will be wasted.
Yes.
I don't typically do that. I will spend money and then just for like not for long periods. But I'm like one of them fringe outliers on that. Like you don't find most people when you spend $30 on a game, like sorry, when you spend 60 on a game, you're gonna play it.
Yeah.
And then when you find out you got $20 more to spend, you're gonna spend it. Yeah. Because you've already put 60 in, so what's 20? And then they're gonna get you on 15, and they're gonna get you on 10, and then 400 of them are gonna be $5 purchases. And you're gonna be like, I didn't realize I spent this much money.
Right. I can remember playing games where so when a game says, if a game has to say it's free to play, it's probably not. But
yeah, if they feel like they have to say it.
Yeah, it's you're not. You might have a free to play option. It's just not as good, anywhere near as good. But you know what? Yeah, I can play for free. So
I mean, Elder Scrolls Online, you can mostly play for free.
No, and it's, you know what? Like, I don't think you should. Like, it's like,
well, I mean, think about it this way though. You can buy Elder Scrolls Online for $20.
Yeah. And you're gonna do a lot with that craft bag.
You can.
Oh, so, wait, you don't have a craft bag.
Right, so consider it though, but like, you know, you start to think about it. $55 gets you 3 months and the game.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good model.
Yeah.
And with those 3 months, you can unlock most of the content if you want, or just keep paying. I mean, you're probably better off for the craft bag. I mean,
yeah,
craft bag.
That one thing breaks your gameplay.
Yeah, but still, like, you can play the game free. You're not gonna get as far, or not free, but you can pay for $20 and get in and play the game, and you can buy most of the DLCs with it too. Like now, Somerset's bundled in.
Yeah.
Which means that you get jewelry crafting involved too. So, you know, when you look at it, you know, you there is more value for money there.
Right.
There aren't many games that I feel like I'm getting good value for my money.
Right.
That's why I don't buy many games. Like, I play a lot of the games I already own.
Yeah.
'Cause I just don't want to get in that situation. I don't buy as many games as I used to because I worry about the financial like debt I'm gonna rack up.
Right. Yeah. So, like, what was it? There was a recent one that I played that was like a strategy. It was an MMO, but it was almost like Command and Conquer or whatever. You had your own base, your own civilization, and you're like a part of a bigger like guild type thing.
Right.
And there was a lot of strategy. It was like Rise of Kingdoms or something. Yeah, that's what it was. Rise of Kingdoms, which is a good game, right? Like, the game itself is a good game. You can play it for free. You aren't going to play as quickly.
Right.
Like, well, when I say play as quickly, you're not going to progress as quickly.
But that's understandable. I mean,
that is understandable.
And
there's value there for spending the money. But I remember playing this game and being in, like the clan chat or whatever. I can't remember if they called them clans, guilds, what the group was, but like the group chat, right? I remember being in that, and like people in there, you know, we'd be talking and somebody'd be like, why do I spend $300 in a month on this game? You know, and I'm like, I don't know.
You can easily do it.
You can easily do that with almost every game that you have like these microtransactions in, because it's like, all right, so here's $10 for this, and there's $5 for that, there's $20 for this, and you know what? This huge package right here, it's got everything that you can ever think about ever wanting in the game is only $100. You can have it.
Only $100. Only $100 right now. Buy it now.
Yeah, like
it's a salesman.
It gets people, right?
It's a salesman. It's a fucking snake oil.
It is.
They're sitting on the street corner going, "Hey there, you want to buy a game?" And you're like, "Huh?" And they're like, "A video game." And you're like, "All right, how much is it?" And they're like, "For the low cost of your entire bank account and your social security number, we'll give you all of this." And you're like, "What is this? I don't know yet. I haven't played it yet." And they're like, "But look, if you're invested and you want to play more, look, we got more over here. And you could spend, if you give us another person's social security number, we'll give you this." And it's like, oh my God.
It's just there's a certain point where it gets to be too much. Like, I understand, like what you were talking about earlier, the skins, right? Like, I understand purchasing skins. Don't alter my gameplay because I'm not paying you more for a game that I already bought. But
I can get behind skins all day long.
yeah,
I really can. I can actually get behind most cosmetics in games.
Yeah.
As long as there is an option to get it in game.
Yeah. That's where it gets kind of funky, isn't it?
Right. I typically like Elder Scrolls Online. I'll bring it up again because I always talk about it. It's one of those games I love, I really enjoy, but it's just sometimes it's stupid. You can get the Imperial customization, like their outfits.
Right.
Someone had to pay money for it, but they can post it on the auction house and you can find it.
Right.
That's a good choice. That's a good way of doing it. Star Wars is MMO. Some of the races are locked behind paying monthly. It makes sense because for them, they don't have racials in that game.
Right.
So that's cosmetic fully.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. Like if you want Twi'lek, you can play for free and get Twi'lek.
Gotcha.
Which is that's good. That's a good thing.
Yes.
I think someone had to pay money, but you don't have to.
Right.
That's a good way. Transference of currency as well, because now that person who buys it is looking to make gold off of it.
Right.
Like that's what it is. You get a token. Instead of actually just unlocking it on your account, you get a token that you can do whatever you want with.
Right.
Like in Elder Scrolls Online, you get tokens that you consume that give you a style. You can just sell that.
Right.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And it's because someone saw value there. They saw it for a different thing, which is gold, but like money to gold. But they also saw it as a way for them to make money in the game, go forward in the game.
Right.
But they also realize that people like this thing and people also don't want to spend money on it.
Right.
So
they might have a fat ton of gold sitting around in their bank.
Right.
But they don't want to throw more money at the game.
I mean, fuck, how many people, I've traded, I don't know, I know this is a bit, on some people, but, Crown Coins. When I get them every couple months, I'll sell them to someone. You do the gift thing. You gift them the item and you get the gold back. Zos has said it's fine, so I feel fine doing it.
Right.
I gifted some guy Greymore, and he gave me a fucking fat stack of gold, and I was happy with mine because it was my one I got for my month. I got currency for my month, and I used it to further my character. I actually bought a home off of it. That was value for me.
Right.
That was more valuable to me than the currency I got for paying $15 a month.
Right.
What am I going to do with 150 crown coins?
Right.
Not very much. What can I do with a couple million gold? I see more value there.
Yeah. It makes sense. Handing the players of your game something that can shift hands in a player market makes sense. I can get behind it.
That's fine with me. But I also think it should also just be cosmetic too. I don't think you should be able to I don't think games should have racial locks like Elder Scrolls Online.
Right.
But even I could get more behind it. I would dislike it still.
Yeah.
But I could get behind it if they could trade it.
Right.
I think that's the big thing though, is that you don't often see games allowing people to trade it because it becomes more of it can get into a legal territory quickly. Because, money and in-game, it's a transference and laws have, they have laws against things like that somewheres and it all depends, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but I do think that, if a game I'm playing and I'm enjoying has a cosmetic thing, I might buy it. I've thought about buying cosmetic stuff in ESO.
Yeah.
Hell, I even got a mount I buy crown crates pretty regularly, with the monthly currency that I get. And that's a pretty fun investment for me. I open a couple crown crates. Sometimes I get nothing. Sometimes I get something. I got the camel mount.
Right.
That's a cool one. I like that. I like the camel mount. I spend a little bit of money, but I got what I wanted out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I typically buy crown crates because I get the gems out of it, and I'll take the gems and put it towards something, maybe a couple months out.
Right.
that's more worth it to me than I mean, most things in this Crown store. It's just cosmetics. That's all I care about. So,
Right.
and I enjoy the game. I play the game like a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I'm okay with it, because I get a lot out of my money.
Mm-hmm.
Fortnite, I don't like Fortnite, but if I was in Fortnite and I played Fortnite a lot, I'd probably buy a couple skins. Why
Right.
wouldn't you? You're enjoying the game. Might as well get something extra.
Right.
But it all goes back to, like, I'm one of those people that don't see it as a, like, you know, I have all this money invested, I have to keep putting money in.
Right.
I can buy one skin and never buy again.
Right.
Like, I bought one season of Fortnite back when I did play it a little bit. I got a bunch of stuff out of it, and then I just never bought another one because I got all the things I liked.
Right.
I got the skins I like, and I don't play it anymore. But if I did play it again, I know I have the skins on that account that are the ones I want. And that's the only ones I want, so I'm good.
Right. Yep. I get behind that. It makes the gameplay unique to you, and it doesn't change the game. Like,
Yeah, I don't like gameplay changes for money.
no, that's because then it's not like, even if it's so, playing the game becomes not free, right? Like,
Yeah.
buying the game is one thing. Playing the game should be free if you bought the game.
You should be able to play the game you paid for.
Yeah.
And even with an MMO, you got to think about it. Even without the craft bag,
Right.
you can play.
You can. Yeah.
You can play the entire game.
Yeah.
Up until the expansions, because you didn't pay for those.
Right.
But when you pay for them, you can play them.
Right.
You might not be able to craft very much,
Right.
but you can still craft and you
Right.
can still play, which means that when you look at it, you pay for what you play. You're not paying so you can pay, so you're not paying so you could pay more,
Right.
so that you can get to a artificial value.
Right.
I mean, think about it that way. Think about it in a way of, like, if you were to pay for armor.
Yeah.
Like, it's like paying for CP levels.
Right.
It's like, if you could pay for 3,600 CP levels, there would be no reason to grind it.
No.
People would look at it and go, fuck, I just fucking pay the money.
Yeah.
Because it's such a big grind.
Yeah.
But that's part of the game. So if it doesn't have a pay option, then it's part of the game.
Right.
If it has a pay option, it becomes a wallet transaction.
Yeah.
Because it's simpler.
Yep.
I mean, and I can't blame anyone for doing it necessarily. If you could pay for CP level 3,600, there'd be a pretty big weight on your mind. You'd be like, well, I could just pay it.
Yeah.
But every time you level up, then you're thinking, I'm wasting the opportunity I could have because I'm leveling it, but I could just pay.
Right.
But, like,
Yep. That would pop in your mind every time.
yeah,
It would cause people to break down and pay for it.
right, because you'd be slowly going towards something that you could have just had.
Right. Right. Well, I think that's a lot covered today, and I think it's a lot to think about, really, because it's like,
Well, it's holiday
getting-
season coming up, and I think these are good things to think about before you go and spend your money.
I think they are too. Yeah.
Like, I would recommend, if you're a parent and you're going to buy a game for your kid or something like that, or even if you're going to buy something for yourself, especially because it's your money as well. So no matter how you look at it or where your life is, like, do some investigating on the game first. And
Yeah.
you may be better off, even though it might not be able to be gifted in a wrapping paper, you may be better off waiting till the game comes out and buying it for them then, or buying it for yourself.
Right.
Like, you might if you're a parent, you're probably better off waiting for the game to come out
Yeah.
and then buying it, because you really don't want to get in a situation where your kid sees that kind of stuff, because that's bad for them to see that, see that money's just to be thrown around like that. You don't want to teach that to your kid. You want your kid to know that, keep on to your money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, man, some companies are greedy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And a lot of them are greedy, and it's just something that's you got to watch out for nowadays.
Yep.
But it is holiday season coming up, so I would recommend if before you buy a game, for yourself, for your own, maybe because my birthday's coming up, I'm planning to buy games for myself, and I'll probably get games from people, and stuff like that. So when it comes to my birthday, I'll be watching what I buy because I don't want to get caught in some trap on my birthday.
Yeah, it's not a fun experience at all, really. All right, well, I think that's all we've got. I feel like it was a good talk. We've been going on for over an hour here, but I think it's been good.
I think we're good to wrap up about now.
Yeah. That's about it. That's all I've got.
Don't forget to leave a comment down below and like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Thanks everyone for listening in, and we'll be back to talk with you all next Friday with the same kind of thing that we always do.
Yeah.
Because we just kind of talk with you guys. We like to just have a conversation. So
yeah, have something that anybody listening can just kind of jump into.
Yeah.
Whatever it is we're talking about.
I will look. I'm gonna say we always end up on Morrowind.
Yeah.
It's never is a point when we just we can't talk about Call of Duty. We can't talk about no, it comes to Morrowind because Morrowind got it right. But now it's this is just who we are. We're the Morrowind channel.
They got a whole lot of stuff right. And
Spy Pie Gaming, Morrowind,
right,
it's Morrowind the channel. We are the Morrowind channel.
I think it's okay though.
We're the Morrowind Oblivion channel, and if you say Skyrim, we're gonna start on a whole conversation about why Skyrim's shit.
Yeah.
Every time, one of us says the word Skyrim, and then it just goes real far.
Yeah.
We're just fuck you, you got rid of water walking. Screw you, Bethesda.
Well, I don't know.
I'm mad.
We're gonna get
you
fired back up all over again, but
I know.
You
can't
that's
say
what it is, It's
one of the Spy Kids, fucking said Skyrim was good.
Yeah.
And then man, I was no, it's not. You're not old enough to know it's not good.
Yeah.
You don't know yet.
Right.
And look, I might be a little bit of a man child, but I will tell a kid right to his face Skyrim shit.
Yeah.
I will steal that kid's candy and tell him Skyrim sucks.
All right. We will see y'all in the next video.
See ya.